From the autopsy room to the world of acting. That's Sophie's journey toward a life that no longer feels like merely existing, but truly living. By the age of 26, Sophie had already earned her medical doctor and completed her doctorate. Her plan was clear: build a career in pathology and become a board-certified pathologist by 31. But everything changed when she found herself diagnosing breast cancer in women at her own age, day after day. So eventually she had a moment she couldn't ignore. What am I actually doing here? And with that, I'm more than humbled and honored to welcome you, Sophie. Thanks for joining me on the show. And thanks for sharing your journey from science to screen and maybe inspiring other people who are longing to reclaim their creative energies.
Thank you so much for having me and introducing me, Christian. I'm so happy to connect with you today. And yeah, looking forward to our conversation.
You found me and my colleague Sarah through our current film project, Vitamin U, the romantic comedy about dealing with cancer and multiple sclerosis.
Yeah.
And it was interesting to see that you have a background in medicine as well, but then decided to become an actress or an actor. So why?
When I first saw your profile, I was so happy to see your journey and your process for making this movie, because as a doctor, I've seen so many individuals facing these traumas and diagnosis of severe illness, if it's chronic illness like a neuroinflammatory illness like multiple sclerosis or any sorts of cancer. And it was really a great moment seeing you set this into the center, because I feel a lot of people are left out and feel very alone. So seeing my two worlds and passions combined, I felt an instant connection to it, because it's just great bringing stories of real humans into the world. And I love the way you approach it with empathy. And to go back to your question, how do you get from medicine into acting? I feel there's so many similarities, because when I meet patients, I automatically connect with them and I kind of feel their sorrows and their happiness, and I join them on their health or illness journeys. So a lot of the things that brought me into medicine was actually the human aspect of it. Also, I'm a nerd, so that's why I ended in pathology, but this way of connecting and helping a person through struggles. And I don't know how many medical doctors or healthcare professionals are listening, but I know from many of my friends and also from my own experience that this core element of relating and connecting to people gets more and more stripped away in the modern healthcare due to time pressure and staff shortage, making everything more efficient, protocols, algorithms, and like the core of why I loved medicine, it kind of slowly faded away. Plus the environment that is super harsh in many cases. And when I discovered acting, it was super random. After graduating, I worked at an ice cream shop. I met a colleague, and she was working in Munich in the Bavaria Film Studios. And as a curious person, I just wanted to try it out. And I loved it so much. And I saw that all of the elements that I loved with medicine, they are in acting, and even more so, they're enhanced. Like the people want to see the connection, they want to see vulnerability, they want to see your soul, like pour it out in a way, and they want to see you live. And I also realized by doing that, I can also help people just in a different way. And I also help myself because I enjoy it so incredibly much. I can't even put it into words.
I can relate to that because, to my mind, or in my opinion, acting and medicine both studied the same subject, which is the human being, just from a different angle. The medicine may be more from a physical aspect, but I see the intersection of that pretty much. So, are you still working as a pathologist, or is it completely vanished in your life?
So I've been working as a pathologist for the last 3 years, and I actually moved to Denmark to start my specialty training because the environment is way better. Really great education programs for doctors, great work-life balance. I've been working only 37 hours per week, and everything that was above it, I could just leave earlier another day. It is so regulated and it's so nice. So I was thriving and I was doing the acting on the side. So I would go to acting classes. I would be on short film sets in the weekends or doing shoots, taking a day off, for example. But I could feel that my true self was really flourishing and opening up and blooming anytime I was on set or in acting class. And it got to the point where I was really feeling low, and not only low in energy, but really sad. Being at one workplace and knowing that I'd rather be somewhere else. And it took a while until I understood that it's actually me who got myself in the situation in the first place. So it's also going to be me who will remove herself from the situation and try something else. So, no, I'm not working as a pathologist anymore since November 2025. So it's almost a year now. So that's crazy. And I've been thinking about it and I didn't miss it. I haven't missed it one day. And I think that's a really strong signal.
It truly is. And I can feel that because my headline could be From Science to Screen. I am a creativity researcher and I hated the science environment I was in because it was so uncreative in so many aspects. And although I was quite good at it, I didn't enjoy the system. So, as you say, your true self cannot be unfolded or unleashed within that environment. It's really true for me as well. I'm grateful anyhow for my experiences I could gather from researching creativity and all that, but I felt the same draw towards the more practical aspects of creativity.
I totally relate to that because I don't regret studying medicine, moving to Denmark, working as a pathologist. Every experience has actually helped me to develop. And I'm just, instead of fighting the change inside myself, I think how many people actually do. Like they notice there's something off and they notice they want to go left, but they're staying right because it's so unknown and because they use so much time and effort, and it also creates a sense of security doing something you already know. And leaving that requires so much courage. So you have to build it up, but I'm actually pretty sure that everyone can do it.
Yeah, that's quite a nice tease. How could you do that? Because it is such an insanely safe and well-situated circumstance, being in such demand as a pathologist, as a doctor, and people admiring, oh yeah, my daughter's becoming a doctor, and I can imagine your parents bragging with you being a doctor. Well, to be honest, my sister is a pathologist as well.
Ooh.
In Germany, yeah.
She Maybe really I know her. Maybe she knows me. I've been working in Leipzig as a student.
Maybe the world is small, but she really enjoys that job. But anyhow, I think lots of parents are really proud of their children when they pursue something serious, something real inside the tracks of the old generation. So how could you make that happen?
I'm very lucky because my mom, she's so free. So I feel like I'm also doing this for her because back in the day she wanted to work with cars as a car engineer, and she couldn't because her parents told her, "You're a girl. Girls don't work with cars. You have to go work with kids." And she doesn't even like kids or working with kids, so that's horrible. And she knows for herself how it feels to be pushed or stay stuck in an environment that just isn't for you. So by me freeing myself from the societal aspects and pressure, I feel I also do her a service because she couldn't live the way she wanted to back in the days, and I think she's extra proud that I go my own way. My grandparents, they had kind of a struggle. They're still struggling because they're the ones who love to brag. I'm the first academic in the family, and I'm the first doctor, and I'm the first person who even studied. And then I got a doctorate degree. It's very rare that someone from a background of non-academia actually gets to this academic standing or title. They were super cheering me on for the medical journey and getting a doctorate in neuropathology, and they loved it. They don't love that I changed my mind and want to do something that makes me feel alive, because I don't think they can relate to it. It's a different generation, and the value of safety and routine is just very different to the life we're living nowadays. So I don't take it too heavy. I'm just, I'm like, look, now I'm a freelance actress. We're having holidays. Summer, like in Denmark, we have like 3 to 6 weeks of summer break, so nothing happens. I'm like, hey, I didn't have to ask anyone if I could come. Now I'm just here and we can spend time. So they still get a benefit from me being more flexible than before. So I think they like it.
And how about the other people in your personal life? Did they support it? Or did they question it? Or did they just didn't care about, well, you do you?
I didn't have anyone who said anything negative about it, so that's really good. I have a really good social circle. Quite the opposite. 2 of my friends, after hearing my thoughts, also left their job after a couple of months. One of my friends, she was working 9 to 5 in sustainability, but she didn't really see the higher goal of the firm. So now she's also working freelance and she's thriving. She really enjoys it. And she just needed the little push to do it. And by me taking the leap, she also could collect the faith or hope or believe to do it herself. And recently I also talked with a friend in Canada, and she's a lawyer, but she really loves hosting podcasts. So she started it up parallelly, and now she handed in her resignation letter, and now she's full-time creative. And she told me it's because she heard my story for going from choosing creativity and expansion and exploration instead of security and the path that is already laid out. So there's like, either they're just happy for me or they actually doing the same thing.
It's quite nice to hear that you could serve as a beacon for other people to pursue their own path of happiness or blissfulness, or maybe to choose their mission, why they have been put on this earth. Because I think this is what this alignment creates, that when we choose what is connected to the very soul of us, then we kind of feel this lightness and this drive. And I don't know how you feel about it, but I never get tired when I'm on set. I can do this all day.
It's like an eternal flame. I don't know how nobody ever would describe me as a morning person. I can tell you, when I had the chance to be on a movie set, and then I had so many luxuries. Like, I got picked up, I got driven to location, like all of like the perks. Love it. I was on the street 4:30 a.m. I did not care. I was awake, I was bubbly, I was happy, I was smiley. I was just like, let's go, let's have a nice day. Yeah. So, yeah, and I can also really see, looking back, that I've been struggling big time to get myself out of the bed for a hospital shift. So, yeah, it is really, really a different way of living.
And that's a sign, isn't it? That
such a sign.
You're okay with 5 hours of sleep, or maybe less some days, and it's not draining you. And
no,
it's incredible.
I'm really blessed to be able to experience this, because it was never the plan, but just being open for it has given me so many gifts, like people, experiences, conversations, a different way of being alive, and really, really seizing the day. It is so different, and I'm really, really grateful.
But at the same time, I can imagine that your background in medicine is also potentially serving you well in terms of roles you can play because you have that background. Maybe you get cast as a doctor. I don't know.
That's actually funny that you mention it, because the first time I got cast for something healthcare related, I was so furious because I got cast as a nurse, and like a guy who's been an accountant, he's got cast as the doctor, and I'm like, I am, in fact, a medical doctor. What are you doing? So the stereotypes are still running strong. That's why I'm also creating an ensemble female-led medical series where all the leads are medical doctors and female, because 80% of the workforce is female in healthcare, both for medical doctors and a lot of the other professions in the hospital. So, but then I also got cast as a forensic pathologist for a Danish crime series called Sommerdahl. It also runs on ZDF. It is both a Danish-German co-production. And yeah, so that would hit very close to home. I was a surgical pathologist, so not so much crime, but I do know how to perform an autopsy. So that landed me the role, I guess.
Yeah, and your co-actor was afraid that you would really perform a surgery then, right?
People are so afraid. Like, they're so afraid when they see me. They never get the thought of me, like, opening a skull or, like, I don't know, looking at a heart in slices for looking for reasons for the death cause, like a heart attack. You can see it in the tissue, like, it has a different color, and you can sometimes even see the clot that's clotting the coronary artery when you're lucky. Yeah, so all these experiences, it gives so much layers. Yeah, and I can't wait to use it more. Yeah, it is really a valuable knowledge also for script writing and for script consultancy, which I've also been doing. For example, somebody asked, how does a scar tissue look after 6 months? So I would assist with my medical knowledge for that. Or how do I perform this type of surgery? Which kind of instruments do I use? So I can help with that. Yeah, so that's cool. Really nice. Like, it is very nice.
I can imagine you and your fellow actor then asking the assistant, well, how do I perform the surgery? Can you please help me with that? And
exactly.
Yes, of course.
Of course. Yes, we can do that. Here you go.
No, that's really great. And I'm curious about the series you're producing right now. But before that, let me ask you a question. What kind of roles and cliches do I fulfill in your opinion? Because, well, I do them as well. But what is your idea?
I think, like, okay, now I have to think as a casting director. And I would see some family drama constructions, you being either a brother or a father who might have a secret. That could be something. You could also play a psychotherapist.
Play that. Yes. Check.
Play this. You could play a doctor.
Play that. Check.
You could work in finance.
Oh, damn it. That hurt.
I'm sorry. It's the glasses.
All right, without glasses.
I can see you in some emotional couples drama, but I also see you a lot on Instagram for the vitamin U. I'm biased. What else do I see? I definitely could see a priest, actually. Like a young priest. Yeah, like a young priest giving new energy. Not that I believe in God, but I can see it.
Well, I have to be the one then to transport that. No, trick question. Do you see a teacher?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, fuck. Yeah, because that was my background.
History and German.
German. Oh, damn it. I was a chemistry and physics teacher.
Oof. That's so wrong. That's so wrong. But I love chemistry. So that actually got me into medicine because I was like, I like science.
Yeah, well, thanks for playing the game, but...
Hurt your feelings?
No, it's just joking. I was bringing that up because, of course, we have to fulfill the cliches, and I will never play a dwarf because I'm 1.97 meters high, so, well...
I played an orc, and I also don't fit.
Oh!
Never say never.
Well, that's interesting. I always wanted to play an orc.
It was for a commercial, funny enough, but got the old costume and the mask and makeup. Then I had to run through a Danish forest and hit people with a foam bat.
Oh,
Yeah, it was
nice one.
lovely. It was great. I could get my inner orc out.
Well, besides that huge prosthetics overhaul, I can see a nurse, of course.
Yeah.
I do see a doctor because you remind me of a few doctors I met. So there's this doctoral feeling. Yeah, like that. Teacher as well, I guess.
I played that as well, yes.
Yeah, yeah. I don't really see you as kind of the Bond girl type of actress. I don't know what a polite way to say that, the bimbo type of girl.
I get mostly like academic roles. Like there's some, like the teacher, doctor, nurse. I also played the Danish queen. So there's some royalty.
Yeah, true. That, well, besides that, what kind of roles would you like to see yourself portraying?
So I'm really looking forward to this series where I actually play him. You know what? I think it is so fun to just try out different. Recently, I got cast for a coming of age movie where I played a narcissistic mother. So I really loved the psychological deep dive into these kind of topics. And there's definitely something in my energy because I get cast for horror as well, and horror. Horror and psychodrama. For example, recently I got offered a role for an evil fairy. So like I don't know, there's a polarity. So the very calm and gentle, but then there's also like this creepy layer. That's
yeah, that works. Yeah. I think so. Maybe I could also play a serial killer.
Yeah, because you don't come off as one, and then it's super interesting.
Like usually, well, I had a very reduced kind of facial expressions. I don't know the English word for that, but it was so reduced. And well, the scientist in me was more like the analytical and all that. And if you transfer that into people skills, it really comes up creepy.
It's so creepy.
Yes, I see you make noises. Good.
Sorry.
No, sorry, that was just me acting. Just kidding.
Sorry.
No. Well, then it was amazing acting that you just brought it right away. Anyhow, no, let's pause here for just a second because I think we can ramble on and...
I can talk for hours. That's my strong suit and my worst attribute.
Yeah, just one last follow-up question to the narcissist mother.
Yeah.
How would you approach it? How would you like to play that narcissist mother or that darker characters from the craft perspective?
I do have such an interesting background from the teaching. I've been doing Chubbuck technique for a year, which helps me a lot to find the topics. And now I'm also training in the technique that is very special, I would say. I don't think many people have heard of it. It is developed by a Mexican acting teacher who's been working at the Danish, what is it called? The Danish Scenekunstskole, which is the Danish film school. She's been working and researching, and she uses a lot of embodiment techniques, meditation, and really energy to get a character into your body instead of just theorizing about the why and when and how. It's more like grasping the energy and putting it into your body and then shifting. So kind of like splitting yourself off and becoming the character. And it is so interesting because the energy you transport through your body, it feels so stimulating in a way because it's very different from other acting techniques that I've tried. And it changes your posture, it changes your face, it changes the muscles you use in your face. So sometimes when people get into it, you can't even really recognize them because the tension is different. And she summarizes it as you download the character from the universe, which sounds super woo-woo. But it works. It is crazy. So I really enjoy it.
I can't wait to see the movie when it's out, when you had become that narcissistic mother. let me get back to your cue you left here, the series. Please tell me and the audience more about the Medical Doctor series. What's the story? What's the vision? What's the stage?
As a woman in medicine, it was the biggest pain and the biggest struggle not to be able to serve women properly because we lack information and resource, trials. We lack so many things that we can provide a good service to women. And what frustrated me in medicine was that I couldn't help. I wanted to help so badly with different types of cancer, with menopause symptoms, with endometriosis, with just things like heart attacks that the female symptoms get classified as atypical. And I'm like, we're half of the population. This is not atypical. It's just a different way it shows in women. And it's kind of so overlooked that we are making a series using all of these topics to make a drama series that is a mix of Grey's Anatomy and The Pit, and using female voices in healthcare, both as executive producers and consultants, female lead actresses who also worked in healthcare, some of them, to bring this message across, to create a platform to talk about the injustice and to collect funds to funnel it into research. So I think it's really great that I'm a doctor because otherwise I wouldn't even know how deep the injustice and treatment differences go. So I'm using it for that.
Can you elaborate on the treatment injustices that you just mentioned?
There are so many. For example, there's many studies where women and their pain gets treated differently than in men. And it's not only for women in general, but also depending on ethnicity. When you add a language barrier, it's getting worse and worse when you add age. And it doesn't even matter if you go to a male physician or a female physician because the entire studies is brought up with these biases and stereotypes. I mean, there's, for example, one of my good friends, she's a midwife and she's a filmmaker and actress. She made the short film Hysteria, where she follows a woman to her endometriosis diagnosis, where she gets harassed, where she gets ridiculed, where she always feels like she's the burden at work, in relationships, at the healthcare provider. And then it takes, for the general average woman, it takes 7 to 10 years to endometriosis diagnosis. And then knowing that I was the one receiving the biopsies from the peritoneum or the ovaries and just looking at it and like, that's endometriosis. It's crystal clear when you look at it under the microscope. Understanding the pain and the process of this journey of this single woman, it just makes me want to scream. It makes me feel so angry. And yeah, I really want to change that. Like, there's so many different examples. You have to watch the series because we're going to cover a lot of them in a really interesting way. And I really like to platform it more.
Sure. How many people are you currently together working on that series?
Yeah, we are 5 filmmakers who are writing, and there's 2 on the writing, 2 on the producing. We have a producer in Delaware, Lisa G. Black. She's a really well-known producer across. We're so lucky to have her, and we are looking for producers. We're looking for crew to get onto this project. And yeah, we're also looking for the country. We've been in discussion with Denmark, the UK, and Switzerland so far. And if anyone's interested and wanted to hear more about it, then just reach out. It's called Ward B.
And the also famous and sucking the life out of and film producers question, what about the funding?
So we're still applying for funds, and we're all working at the same time because the money has to come from somewhere, right? So Of course, there's a self-funding, but it's going to be a big project, so we're going to need more. And we also think about using crowdfunding as an opportunity because the public interest, I mean, half the population is underserved. And I think it could be very interesting for women and men to support this project. And there's also a lot of medical doctors that are also on the socials and talking about health injustice and female health that are interested in contributing. So if you want to be executive producer, you know where to find me.
A follow-up question, because do you see potential in sponsorship?
Yeah. In sponsorship from brands or from individual people?
Both. Maybe from hospitals, maybe from individuals, maybe from healthcare companies or health tech companies.
Definitely. We have so many different, how do we say, in Danish we say, different balls in the air. So we have so many things going on and reaching out. Of course, in Denmark, it's obvious the Novo Nordisk Fund that works with supporting healthcare research, and there is a list and we're working through it.
So what are your next steps with the project?
So the next steps is pitching it to more producers. We have one, but we want to get it out there and talk with distribution networks. So it is really great because our producer has some really good connections to the big streaming services, and yeah, fingers crossed
that they will get their buy-in into the show.
Yeah,
fingers crossed, of course.
Thank you.
And besides that, Sophie as a person, besides the acting and, well, the hobby and slicing up people.
I love it. I missed that one. So if there's any series where they really need like autopsy skills, I would love to be close to it. I loved it. It is pretty. Like, can I say this on the internet when people are not physicians? I mean, we're kind of the odd ones out anyway in medicine. So it does make it worse. It is really meditative to be the last person who actually examines a patient. And I think it is a big honor. And it always had a special energy to be with the person. And I mean, I'm closer to them than they've ever been. In a way, it is very boundary crossing, and it is in the beginning very scary, to be honest. I was so scared. At my first autopsy, I was 19. I almost fainted. I play cool, but I was close to like laying next to the person, losing my consciousness, because it is such an experience. Very, very, very interesting. But I do miss the way I could ground myself, because being so confronted with end of life was really impactful for how I want to live my life, and also how I talk about choosing your dreams and living a life that feels meaningful to you. Because I've seen so many different people. I have, unfortunately, as well, performed autopsies on toddlers and babies and middle-aged people who had the privilege to age until their 80s. But it becomes very clear that there's no day more guaranteed. It's very entitled to think that you have 80 years.
Thanks for pointing that out, because I want to circle back to the last sentence of the introduction, where you realized, what am I actually doing here? So what sparked that thought?
Yeah.
How did you came up with that?
I mean, in pathology, you work in kind of subspecialties, and I had a rotation in breast pathology. And I was covering both surgeries. So I was in contact with the surgeon and told her if the margins of the specimen, the cancer she cut out, if it was sufficient. So it's like 5 millimeters on each side of this little cube, and you measure it in real time and give direct feedback to remove more of the tissue or if it's cleared. And I was also assessing needle biopsies for lumps in the breast that were suspected to be cancer, to either get verified or give another diagnosis, what it could be, some cystic lesions or some benign changes in the tissue. And a lot of the women, I saw pictures of them and their age, because in Denmark you get the entire journal of the patient. You see all the notes, you see the birthday, you see a picture sometimes. And I started thinking, what would it look like for me if I was in their shoes? And would I look back on my life and think that I lived it to the fullest, or I lived it without fear, or I lived it just how I think it's right? And it kind of grew, not in a negative way, more in a courageous way, to actually acknowledge that I can't see myself doing this for the next 40 years. I would not reach my potential, and I would not live a life that feels fulfilling to me. And it's really interesting because now I do follow my passion for acting, and not many people know it, but I also have a license in nutrition. So I actually also do workshops on preventative health and plant-based eating that can prevent a lot of the chronic illness and cancer illnesses we face in pathology or in healthcare. So there has been emerging so many different small threads to, instead of looking back, trying to change and before it's too late.
You mentioned you don't live to your fullest, or you were afraid that at the end of your life you haven't been living to the fullest, but at the same time you're saving lives. Isn't that the dream for some people? You have been doing so much good in the world, so why? Why is that voice inside you that said, well, I haven't been living to the fullest?
Yeah. I mean, I actually think pathology was kind of a way to be able to stay in medicine. I think it's interesting, and at the same time, it's also the most regulated specialty. To all of the people who don't know, there's no shifts, there's no weekends, and you meet at 8 o'clock and you leave at 15:30. At least in Denmark, there's no emergencies, and it is very, very 9 to 5, stable, calm life. And that was one of the reasons I tried it in the first place. Then I also fell in love with histology, and just if you have ever seen cells under a microscope, it blows your mind. It is incredible, and I still think it's the coolest specialty. What I thought, my motivation is to keep people healthy. As a pathologist, I was always just the one confirming all of the things that went wrong. Colon cancer, prostate cancer, and telling people how bad it was. Of course, it is the fundament for treatment, but I came to the conclusion that I'd rather talk to people about what we can do, how we can live, how we can eat to prevent a lot of these illnesses. For example, colon cancer, 5 out of 10 cases could be prevented by a fiber-rich, low animal product way of eating, and then 4 more when you go to a colonoscopy. So 9 out of 10 cases could be prevented, and I'd rather focus on the positive as a medical doctor instead of looking at what happened. So I kind of felt that I was a bit too late for helping people, even though it's so crucial. It was just not for me.
It sounds absolutely right to do the opposite. To focus on the positive instead of the negative. But how does the acting fit into that plan? I'm just curious. You can say, I don't know. It's just what my gut says I need to do. But
yeah, I feel it's kind of reclaiming all of my joy and closeness and empathy and putting it into something where it can benefit people and where it can be used for the better. I feel like all of the strengths I have, they are such a waste, unfortunately, in modern medicine when you work in healthcare systems. And unfortunately, I know a lot of people agree that the time and the conversations and creating safety with patients is just not a priority. And it is very sad to say it, and people also say, why don't you revolutionize it from the inside? well, good luck. You can try.
Yeah, easier said than done.
And I think it is very good to state an example on boundaries, because a lot of people in medicine are overgiving and they end up super empty in depression, burnout, suicide. There's so much healthcare professionals that are struggling not only with physical but also mental health, and saying, I don't want to do this anymore, and it's not an individual failure. I think that releases a lot of pain in my colleagues as well by saying it out loud.
Truly does. And it's a twisted system that a healthcare system makes people sick working in the pursuit of making other people healthier.
Yeah. And sometimes I'm even wondering if we're really making them healthier.
Well, that's kind of an interesting topic to debate, but at least there's, in my opinion, the aim or the vision of lots of doctors that they want to help and heal people.
100%.
And, well, struggling with the circumstances of the system. So, yeah, thanks for sharing. And I hear a lot of love for human beings in there, and a lot of love for truly pursuing the dream that you actually started with, helping people or healing people, but just from a different perspective. But correct me if I got it wrong.
I think it's so true. My experience, at least when I share my story, that I left clinical medicine and focus on pursuing my dream and pursuing acting, there is so much relief, and there are so many people in my DMs and commenting that they're working as a DJ now but are a medical doctor or studied medicine, or lawyers who changed their jobs, or a nurse who now has a flower shop. And all of the messages are, thanks for sharing. It makes me feel less wrong about myself. I'm happy that it's not me who is like too weak. It's just something different, the way I help people now. Maybe making nice music for them, or creating a beautiful bouquet that lifts up their mood. There's healing in so many different ways.
You actually had the same effect on me when I stumbled upon your profile, that I just saw confirmation in, yeah, there are other weirdos out there who don't give a, and I actually decided against studying acting, although I was doing acting since I was 14, but I took the serious and the grandmother approved way of, and I felt the same urge inside of me to do acting when I was 25, because I had the same question when I got diagnosed and all that. I got all the questions of, well, I only have this life to live, so what I want to do with it, and then find ways around how to deal with it. That was so inspiring, I just want to say, to see other people also paying more attention to what feels aligned with themselves, and deciding against the proper career and the proper money and all that, what older generations claim to be
prioritized or thought of as success. Yeah. I'm really happy you're there as well, because it's really nice. I would say it's unconventional.
That's true.
But I don't see anything wrong in it.
I totally agree that it is an unconventional way of pursuing life, or not the standard way or the normal way, which in terms of statistics is just what most people or the average population pursues. And it's just a standard deviation or two sides.
I've always been in the standard deviation.
I think it's, but you can give me your perspective on that, but it feels kind of lonely as well, because we are not among the other people that do the standard stuff. And I think it is even true, well, it's not so much true in acting as well, because actors are, in my mind, really open to anything. But there are those kind of actors who studied acting and did it all their life and were struggling as a waitress or waiter, and, well, still struggling and doing auditions and all that. And then there are those side entrance people who also can be quite successful in terms of exposure and people noticing them, although they have been not proper actors.
Yeah.
And Then, of course, there are the magical cases like, what is her name, who played...
Do you think about Jennifer Lawrence?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, I could see it in your brain.
Oh, damn it. That's a super skill right now. Surgery without a knife. Yeah, I'm talking about her, who never studied acting, but just studied human being.
Yeah, and you know what her skill is?
What is it?
Empathy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's amazing. I love her. I really love all the stuff she does. And
yeah. Like, she's one of my idols and inspiration. Yeah.
Oh, mine too. And I'm so afraid, ashamed that I didn't have her name.
Don't worry. I don't think she takes it personal when she sees the podcast.
Well, if you see it, Jennifer, I'm really sorry. I was overwhelmed by your majesty. We can be kind of unicorns in that world.
Yeah.
But then again, we're not, because on the meta level, in my opinion, acting is about that, what you said, in medicine as well, studying what makes humans human. And
But I'm interested in the loneliness part, because it really depends on who you surround yourself with. And I totally get it. At the hospital, it was very weird. I'd have to say it as it is, because I've been working full time. I've been doing the acting. In the beginning, I tried to keep it a secret because I just didn't want to stir anything up. And I didn't want to be extra or just not fitting in, especially when you're a foreigner. You really want to fit in, and you really want to just be liked and just have this harmony at the workplace, which we had, so that was not a problem at all. But when I moved more and more or closer to leaving, I could see that the life ideas, they were so different, and I just had to accept that most people around me wanted different things, and that's totally fair. And as soon as I am in more creative spaces, I see so many people who do it all. One of my good colleagues, he's a math teacher, and he works as well in school as in uni, has a YouTube channel, does acting. Like, he's so many things going on. Then I see these other people who are musicians and content creators and working in a pastry shop and doing all of the things, acting. So I feel the more you get into the creative space, the more portfolio careers you see, and the more relatable it gets. And it's just beautiful that everyone's celebrating diversity and different interests, and it's not, you don't have to be in a box. So it's really nice once you find your crowd. And for me, it was overwhelmingly positive to start posting on social media. I have met so many nice people, medical doctors in Canada who work as actors as well. I have so many different connections with people who have this feeling inside for wanting something more, and it's great.
yeah.
So we found each other through social media, so it is,
True,
for me, it's
true.
a blessing.
You said it quite nicely with bringing together all the diversity, and that everything is just okay. It is okay to be an owner of a bakery shop and do some knitting and some acting, and
Exactly.
you're seen, and that's so relieving and so inclusive in my opinion, which really felt good. But what brings me home when I'm struggling is to remind myself that Leonardo da Vinci was also a physician, an artist,
And
an
I'm
engineer.
also so happy he was vegetarian. Woo!
Yeah.
Visionary. Yeah.
I think that's the key.
No. But
Anyhow,
very bright mind. Yeah.
if you think of your younger self, to close this episode, is there anything you would like to give your younger self as advice, or the audience, maybe a reminder of what helped you the most? Some clothing thoughts,
Yeah.
maybe.
when you don't know what to do with your life, think about the thing you got critiqued most for as a kid, and this will be the thing that fulfills you and gives you a flourishing career.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is it.
Can I share like a small anecdote?
Please go ahead.
As a kid, I've been playing so many characters, and once I played a dog for a week straight. So my mom would tell me when we saw a dog on the street, give this dog a treat. And after a few seconds, she was wondering why I was chewing. And because I was the dog, I gave myself the treat. So I was eating the dog food, being in character. And people were like, what the is wrong with this girl? Why is she eating dog food? But I was just acting, and I just loved it. I had so many different characters, and I didn't react when somebody wouldn't call me my character name. I wouldn't even give them any attention.
Mic drop. All right, that's interesting. Well, being in character that much, love it. I really love it. But
Wow.
But you mentioned that when people say that's the weirdest thing that you do, that you have to step into it.
Yeah.
So you obviously not became a dog food creator, but
no, I became a doctor.
Love it. That really is my kind of humor. Any more incidents you had when you were a child?
I mean, there's one thing, and I never thought it was so special, but apparently I laugh a lot. I laugh very loud, and I have a really big smile, and sometimes people tell me, like, do you want to fix your gummy smile? I'm like, no, it's just so me. When I was a child, my grandma told me this story that we were in town, and one of the people who knew my grandmother, they encountered me. And they had a chat, and I was just like me, like happy, giggly. And then this person asked my grandma if I was okay or if I had like mental development issues because I was laughing so much. And I'm like, how can you even ask this? How can you even ask, like, is this child okay? She seems so happy. Like, is she sick? And that's so twisted, that happiness and laughing is such a taboo almost, that people think you're, impaired.
Wow.
And that was like one of the things where now when I, for example, post videos, people tell me they get so happy when they see me smile and they can feel the joy like exuding out of my body and they get so happy themselves. And I almost learned that it was something bad, and I'm happy that I didn't let it influence me, and that I kept the smile and the joy live.
True. Wow, that's a weird story, but it clearly emphasizes what you started with, that you actually wanted to help and then, heal people. So you stepped away from that path of diagnosing them, but into more taking care of the conditions before they get sick. And I think making them laugh is quite a nice addition of fuel to that mission. So at the end, I think you really did what you were doing well as a child as well. And
Yeah, exactly. And the things that people tell you are weird is actually the things you're naturally good at. I've been seeing it so many times. Like, you're not talking too much. Maybe you're perfect for hosting a podcast or being a moderator or being on the news, and you're not too focused or hyper-focusing on a topic. Maybe you're a fantastic journalist or writer. Maybe you're not too dreamy and always absent. Maybe you have this incredible inner world for creating stories, or maybe you don't look weirdly in the panorama view. Maybe you are a filmmaker. Maybe you have this special view that it needs to create pictures that move people. So all of the things that are getting pointed out, like that are too much or too weird, is actually the things that come so naturally. And I feel by following it and making this your profession, this is the definition of success. Like, it comes natural to you. There's no inhibition, there's no resistance. And by following that, yeah, I think this is one of the ways to have a really happy and fulfilled life.
Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much, Christian. I can't wait to follow your journey. And now that we met once, you might not get rid of me. I will follow. And I can't wait to see Vitamin U in the cinema. So all the best to you. And I love that you're doing this. You're helping so many people.